Welcome, Sandman Nation. I'm Nate. He's Brandon, and we are the St. Louis Syndicate, and we're here to talk all things football with you in the NFL Week 4 and some great college football matchups. We're going to start in college football. Brandon, tell me a little bit about Oregon and Penn State.
Oh man, it's nothing better than a whiteout game at Happy Valley.
Oh, man.
I I'm gonna be on the side of Oregon. They're at 3.5 right now. Um, it seems like while it feels weird watching Oregon go into these Big Ten games and play out east and not just assume that they're gonna fall apart, but they have played so well up until this point, even with the travel, that I feel like they're closer than the 3.5 points. So give me the hook this week. What are you thinking?
I'm on Penn State this week. Anytime you have to go to Happy Valley in whiteout scenario, there's no way I'm taking a traveling team coming into that. Very, very few stadiums bring that kind of atmosphere. It is a bucket list item for me. There's like 3 universities that I want to go see. I've already been to Notre Dame. I'd like to see Penn State in a whiteout game. I'd love to
Yeah.
see Vatek at night when they do the Inner Sandman. I don't care who they play as long as they're doing that.
No, for
And then
sure.
I do want to get to Rocky Top. I think that'd be pretty cool. Shout out to
Absolutely.
Bierman. Would love to get to Ann Arbor. So, if you could get me up there, man. But honestly, I just find it the atmosphere of these college football games. So, like last week, we went to Mizzou, South Carolina,
Oh,
opening
nice.
weekend for Mizzou. Got the W against Sellers.
What a good
Um,
game.
they look great. I was very pleased with their running game. Mizzou's running game looked really good. Their defense was pretty stout, and actually, they didn't do much other than a few pops and big plays. But it was a good opening SEC. But it was
Got
a
me to the
night game.
over,
It was a blackout,
most importantly.
tailgated. It was fun. It was fun. Good times.
Yeah.
College football is hot. This is probably one of the best weekends of college football we've got. The next game on the slate that is going to be a lot of fun to watch is probably LSU and Old Miss. Um, I don't have a major opinion here other than I love seeing top ranked SEC schools battle it out. And I love it when Lane Kiffin is in the news because I think he's entertaining as hell. And now that
Yes.
his very attractive daughter is flashing herself around the internet with her new boyfriend, and Lane's advising people on how to gamble because of it.
Yes.
I think it's
Take the
outstanding.
over.
So I'm going to
Take
go
the
with Ole
over.
Miss in the over in this, just because Lane said so.
I am mechanically just sticking with Old Miss since I started off the year saying that LSU isn't going to stack up in the long run. And at this point, they've gotten themselves to 4-0. So
Yeah.
I need them to lose this game to even this back out and get to the hard part of their schedule. So that is my genius take on it.
I love it. I mean, what other kind of take is there? I mean, you guys are, if you're listening to this show, you're thinking, hey, get to the survivor picks, you dummies. Because let's just be completely clear. You both got bounced in guts in week 1. So, okay. Week
That was
week
unfortunate.
2 for Brandon, week 1 for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Bama, Georgia. Last one we'll talk about, and then we'll get over some NFL, what everybody's really excited about. But another SEC matchup, Bama, Georgia. Who you got?
I unfortunately feel strongly about Georgia winning this game. And with it being at um 3 or we've got it at 2.5 in the Legends picks. I think I just have to lay the 2.5 and go with it. I hate that this is probably ending Bama really having a shot at getting to the playoff, but I kind of came into this year going, people are kind of putting Georgia to the side. I don't think they should. In the first 3 games, they kind of came out and did exactly what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
And so I think I just got to keep riding them and go, it's been like 38 straight wins at home for Georgia. So I don't
Has it
think this
been
is the
that
one
many?
where they trip. I think it was somewhere in the 30s that I saw yesterday when they were talking about the game.
Wow, that would be crazy.
Yeah. So it makes it real hard for me to go. While I think Bama is still a formidable opponent, they are not peak Bama, and I think Georgia is peak Georgia right now.
Okay. That's fair. My take is really not necessarily side driven. Um, if you put a gun to my head and say pick one, I would want to pick Dixieland Delight. But ultimately the over's the play here for me. I think
I think that's
52 and
fair.
a half is I think this thing's going to be a shootout. I could 52 and a half tells me that some expert thinks this thing is going to be I think it's 52 and a half, isn't it?
It right now it's at 52 and a half. I was
Yeah.
checking where we have and like Ben Harper
Yeah.
and whatnot to see if we've got kind of an angle
I
to
just
get
find
an
it
even better.
yeah, I feel it very difficult, Brandon, to think that this game is going to be 25-23 um or 27-25. I can see both these teams in the 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if Bama's gonna stay anywhere close, I think that's what it's gotta be. I think um, they gotta lean on this, wide receiving core that's kind of picked up their pace with
Mhm.
Bama and
Ty Simpson's got to
and
prove it. He's got to throw the ball around and
yeah,
get
get
it
get
done.
into a shootout. Yeah, yeah, we're locked in at 52 and a half, and it seems like there are some 53 and a halves. We're starting to kind of work that direction. So yeah, it feels like probably by game time, the over 52 and a half will at least have a little bit of value.
Yeah,
So
I
that
think
should be
that'll be
nice.
fun. And who doesn't like
Yeah.
rooting for points, right? So
Well, look, it's way less stressful than rooting against points, which is what
yeah,
I'm usually doing all day Saturday.
yeah. So let's talk about as we go all day Saturday rooting for points. On Sunday last week, I found
Yeah.
myself throwing my hat. I think you guys see I wear a different hat every week in the pod, but I was throwing my hat at the TV as people were scoring points they weren't supposed to be scoring,
Yeah.
i.e., the Rams
Particularly,
Eagles game, blocked field goals, being returned the other way. I mean, just some
yeah, the
nonsense going on in
Jets.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Tons of
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, we had a real problem with special teams this last year. Though, interestingly enough, that is kind of the underbelly of everything that's going on right now. Because if everybody hasn't been watching close enough, the kickoff's back
yeah.
and it's drastically affecting teams' starting field position and thus giving
It
them
is.
opportunities to um, get to long field goals way easier. Though it seems like the defenses are starting to figure out how to get in front of those long field goals um, when they've got that lower trajectory going. So we may um, we may see a lot more variance come in this year where when in the past you would have just got off with a regular field goal or a field goal miss and just see a lot more blocks that turn into wild swings in field position. So, um, I don't know that we have enough data to really go, hey, this is how we should apply this information yet.
Yeah.
But I think that we're within a week or two of going either this settles down and the offenses figure out how to deal with it, or we're going to have to start taking it into account for um, these tight lines that are just drummed down to about as thin a lines as you can come up with.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's gonna be challenging. If anybody's gambled, right, you've had good weeks and bad weeks. Last week was a bad week. You got to get back on the horse and figure out, you know, what it is that the handicapping says. What did you think? What did you see? And to be fair, I'll tell anybody that listens, I feel like I handicapped last week right. I think there were some things that were flukes.
Yeah.
I think that there were some things that, strategically there are plays that if you consistently make over time, they're going to work out. Um, it happens once a century that Jordan Davis rumbles and bumbles all the way down the field and returns one and covers a line that should never have been covered.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That happens, right? That's not sour grapes. That's just how it goes when you do this and you play sports betting. So, um, talking about our games for this week, our first one on the slate is Tampa Bay and Philly. I want to start off a little bit and say I actually feel like this is the same game that we handicapped last week because I think Tampa and the Rams are very similar in nature, the way that they're designed, the way that they execute with their running game, with their passing game, with good quarterbacks, the coaching staff sound. They try to play solid defense. And Philly is still Philly, who we didn't really believe a lot in last week, though I have to give them a little bit of credit. They came back in the second half last week and executed from being down. Um, I'm not sure if that was as much about the Rams playing soft defense as it was about the Eagles executing. We'll find out more this week, but once again, with the hook, I like, and we have said we like Tampa in this particular scenario. Any
Yeah,
added
I think that's
thoughts
a
to that?
perfect way to lay it out. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to lay it out. I think that, you know, this being so much of the same deal, but now Philly's on the road, Tampa gets to be home. Um, I think just sets this up for um having very similar to the same sort of game script.
Yeah. I'm not saying
That
Philly's not going to
Tampa's
win, but that three and a
no,
half number
yeah,
should play into all gamblers, betters,
yeah,
strategic layout for these games. And when you're doing your handicapping and analysis about the strengths and the weaknesses of these teams, that's what makes the most sense.
yeah, because Baker's going to keep throwing the ball, and I don't know. I don't think this is the game that Barkley comes back to full fruition. I think Tampa's run D is going to do fine, um, limiting them and putting
Agreed.
it back on Hurts to go out there and make throws. And I don't think he's proven that when everybody's playing at full effort, that those throws are available to him. And
Yeah.
it would surprise the shit out of me if Tampa takes their foot off the brake or the pedal right after the Rams get bit by doing that. So yeah, I think this is a perfect first play.
Yeah. Our next one is almost another. I don't want to call it mirror image game because I do think these teams are a little bit different, but it's a similar scenario, right? We've got Detroit and Cleveland. And that 8.5 number is there, right? And so Cleveland's coming off the nice win against um, Green Bay with that 8.5 number that they were carrying. Green Bay, powerhouse type of team. Detroit, powerhouse type of team. 8.5 number. A lot of similarities. And in this particular instance, we're leaning towards Detroit as we were Green Bay. I still don't think that we've handicapped this inaccurately. And I don't think Green Bay was handicapped inaccurately. I think that those things kind of happen. There are some key differences to this game, though. One, it's in Detroit instead of in Cleveland. That is massive. And the second factor of this is Dan Campbell doesn't have any hesitation to change the dynamic of the game based on fourth down. Um, we were watching a lot of really good stuff, Brandon, the other day on the tube and listening to some people talk about how the quarterback golf knows on third down, no matter where they're at on the field, if they're going for it on fourth down. And the announcers were talking like that was something, like, oh, hey, this is quite a thought. Nobody ever thought of this before. And I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you? I mean, your quarterback, it gives him the tools necessary to execute. If he knows that he's got 2 plays to get 6 yards instead of one, it's going to change where he's throwing the ball, the location, the placement, how he's reading the defense. I mean, it's a significant difference. But Dan Campbell, in this particular instance, happens to be playing chess, where other teams are playing checkers. And I think that that's going to be the difference for Detroit this year. And so thus I feel very comfortable laying it with Detroit again. And sometimes you just got to stick with the better team. And I think they're just the better team.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect way to lay that out. I think there were a lot of questions, at least for me, coming into the season, going Detroit has this long history of being a certain way. They turned it around, and then they lost two of their coordinators. And after what they did against Baltimore on Monday night, you have to go, okay, like they have the same ability to put the game plan together. And when we talk about those fourth downs, the level of comfort that the entire team has gives you a huge leg up on every other team. And yeah, Cleveland, Green Bay came down there and they stymied them and they made all kinds of problems for them outdoors. And I don't think that they're going to be able to make these same problems for Detroit indoors. So, but yeah, I always hate getting up over the 7, but this
Yeah.
seems like one of those opportunities. Not to mention that as we're recording this, we're watching it go up to 9.5 and it be, you know, not even close to the weekend yet. So this may end up being something where there is plenty of volume that pushes it up through the 10. So, if you get on the other side of that double digits and, you know, eh, you're still laying more than the touchdown, but it is a significant difference
Yeah.
in closing line value. So I think this is one for everybody to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think you brought up a really good point there. Um, the loss of the coordinators had everybody concerned at the beginning of the year, but sh- the the Ravens game didn't just show that they can physically compete, even though they did kind of put a physical beating on the Ravens.
Yeah,
They to your point, they actually showed that they can execute a game plan,
yeah,
and outlay a game plan with the current coordinating and the coordinators in place. And so, the loss of Ben Johnson, makes a big difference because I think at the beginning of the season we were all skeptical, would this look the same? And I think the answer is yeah. These are the
yeah,
Lions that you saw, and the talent's there, and the coaching hasn't dropped that much.
yeah, yeah. So anybody that got in early, kudos to you because you probably got a free couple of nice picks for yourself if you just came in going, "Hey, I'm just going to believe and I'm just going to fire off
Yeah,
under that belief." I needed to see it a couple of times. I'm now comfortable going that, like, even if this game doesn't turn out to go the way that we think it will, they are going to have consistent, um, you know, upper hand, plus EV play across the rest of these games, which is going to outpace what the market can price them at.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, last game. This is kind of an interesting one because it's kind of messy. Tennessee and
Yeah,
Houston. Tell us where you're at there.
man, I am, and we'll see as we go along in this video. I've drawn a very thin line through the middle of this game because I think that um, Tennessee has been beaten on by some teams that we have power ranked right ahead of where Houston is.
Oh yeah,
And so getting 6.5 in Houston feels pretty long. If Houston was closer to, 3.5, something like that, you feel more comfortable with it. But I think we've got to be on the Tennessee side when we get up over 6, um, because I don't know that Houston's defense can take advantage of the fact the parts of Ward's game that are green. And I think he will be able to take advantage of the fact that Houston's defense is not very organized and allow him to make these athletic throws that he's been making more consistently and let it actually impact the outcome of the game instead of it just being a cool highlight reel sort of thing. So, that kind of leads me down that line of let me grab the 6.5. Let me make the hard choice here with a team that we don't think is very good on the road. but should not be 6.5 point dogs.
No, I agree. Kind of keep an eye, if you're leaning on this game, whether it be for a survivor play or for um, a play associated with just a straight bet in Sandman Nation. You've got to pay attention to the injury report. I think Cam Ward's saying he might have a banged up ankle. Potentially, normally in those kind of scenarios, he's probably going to play. But still keep an eye on it. Additionally, just to add to what you were saying, I do not believe that Houston in any way has proven that they deserve to have that kind of spread in their favor. And Tennessee has not played so bad that they should be dogs at 6.5 to a team like Houston. Now, if this was Denver, if this is the Chargers, if this is Kansas City, if this is the Eagles, if this is the Rams, okay. But this is
Yeah.
an 0-3 Houston team who just fell apart against the Jags. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, this is following straight through from last week when we were on Houston
Yeah,
going, they're not this bad.
yeah.
And then they went into Jacksonville and were not able to move the ball.
No, they might be
And,
that bad. We just missed it.
and yeah, yeah, it just, it seems like they are finding new and exciting ways to be flat. So this puts in a now the one thing that you want to watch is that this line kind of consensus has gotten up to 7. You know, making a high leverage play where you're not getting the best of the number probably isn't the best idea, but to put it in a mix with plays seems like a very reasonable place to push against the market.
Sure. Agreed. Okay, so that's our picks for the week. Let's talk a little bit, changing gears over to our top 5, our Power 5 rankings. Brandon,
Yeah.
starting off our rankings, we actually have the Buffalo Bills lined up, and these Bills are just doing an outstanding job this year, dominating teams and really showing that they are worthwhile of the top ranking. Big move this week, though, with the Detroit Lions going from not in the rankings to the number 2. Want to talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, yeah, I think it just speaks to what I was saying before, where my opinion coming in the season was show me. Like you can't dump both your coordinators and have the history that Detroit has, and me just go, oh, hey, you're just gonna reload and be right in there. But they played these games. They very clearly have a disciplined game plan, and I think that then vaults them right back to where they should be. So yeah, I think looking at the rest of these guys that are behind them, there's no reason that they shouldn't be favored in a neutral site game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we both have a little bit of uneasiness having the Eagles at 3. However, they're the defending Super Bowl champs who are 3-0. We don't love how they've started the season. And
Now,
we've argued with each other about this because, there have been times historically when the Chiefs don't look great, but they continue to find ways to win. Does that mean they're the most powerful team? We talk about power rankings. Um,
yeah,
but when you talk about how those power rankings align with spreads, a lot of people actually use power rankings to help create their lines. It's a very important way when you're handicapping games, is to sometimes come up with your own power rankings. I actually, when I do my handicapping, Brandon, look at 2 or 3 different power rankings, and try to gauge what they're telling me. And I just use some different sources. You can use ESPN or CBS or VSiN or whoever. I guess what we should do is really come up with a full 32 ranking, and publish them on
sure.
Sandman Sports. That might be the thing to do next. Bierman, if you're watching this,
Yeah, that's not a bad.
The St.
because that could get us into the writing side of this.
Yeah, the St. Louis Syndicate may actually have to be producing our power
Yeah,
rankings.
some
We're,
lines.
we're going
That
to
wouldn't
take
be
that
horrible.
away, but we'll put them out there, and people will definitely start wanting to pay for that information. So get ready for that. Just kidding, just kidding. This is all free of charge right now. Eventually, you can
Yeah,
pay for
absolutely.
it. So,
Yeah, it's
but
hard for me with Jalen
yeah,
because where we had in the past and we went, hey, how can this team keep getting away with these low probability wins? Well, you can look at the team and go, oh, well, it's because they have this quarterback and he is in control of what's going on in the game. So when there's an opportunity to sneak out a win, he's able to take advantage of it. Where when you watch these Philly games, the way they've won these first three games, you go, yeah, the team came together and made it happen ultimately. But there's not one person that's taking over and going, I have it. I'm going to marshal this team through to win. Um, so they just kind of end up in the middle here. It's hard to ding them too much with getting the wins, but as soon as somebody figures out how to deal with their short yardage game, they're going to be weakened significantly.
what you can't say tushy pushy. uh, Another newcomer to our list, the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers. They are way better in
Yeah.
San Diego. I'm sorry.
Well, that's where all their fans are,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for them playing the games in LA. But yeah, you get started against three in division foes. You beat all three of them. Herbert's looking great. The game plan that Harbaugh has put together is being executed. Um, this is kind of another one of those Detroit sort of, this is Detroit last year, where you look at it and go, can they really do what they say they're going to do and actually bring to fruition what everybody thinks the pieces should add up to? And so far, they have. And when you look at most of the other teams here, there are significant holes in the team. And the Chargers, nobody's been able to take advantage of a hole in their game yet. So for me, they got to be up here in this top five because they feel like they can be counted on.
Yeah. They definitely it's kind of entertaining to watch them. But anytime you can go 3-0 in that division, I think says a lot. I'm impressed, and you know what? The one Harbaugh jumped the other Harbaugh. Um, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think either of us love that the Ravens are A in the 5 hole and B actually still in the top 5 being 1 and 2. But I don't know in any scenario where I wouldn't necessarily favor them over any other team. I mean, I would pick them handicap wise over any team other than right now probably Buffalo and Detroit, and both of those teams have beat them. If they played the
Yeah.
Eagles, I would favor them. If they played the Chargers, I would favor them. Now, I'm not going to put them
Yeah.
ahead of them just out of pure respect that they're 1 and 2 and the other two are 3-0. But
Yeah. Yeah.
power
No,
ranking wise, that's where they sit.
that's always the issue for me is that when I look at it and I still go that Baltimore and Kansas City are still the only two teams that I go, they they have the capacity to beat anybody any day because of the combination of their head coach and quarterback. Um, and so, yeah, the Chiefs have started slow to the point that you can't make a decent argument for keeping them in the top five right now. But Baltimore gets one more week. And look, we're going to find out this week that if they go to Arrowhead and get beat as favorites on the road, that it is probably time for them to come out of the top 5, and depending on how everybody else plays this weekend, maybe, the Chiefs work their way back into it, depending on how they can execute their game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our Power Five. Look out for St. Louis Syndicate complete power rankings. At some point in time, we're going to put those out for you on the Sandman site. So keep
Yeah,
that in mind.
that's a great idea.
Survivor time, buddy. Survivor time.
Yes.
This is our bread and butter, and not necessarily because we're good at it, but we at least have some valid points to make.
Yeah.
Disclaimer: everybody has to make their own plays, but hey, we are 13-2 overall in our top play, safe plays, and risk reward plays. That's just not bad luck, actually. That takes a little bit of evaluation and skill, and I think we've done okay there. Just taking a look at the Sandman report over here, you can see that in Sandman there are 490 survivors left. Last week we lost 143, fueled primarily by the Green Bay loss.
Yeah.
A couple other losses out there kind of spilled in it. There was some with Atlanta. 10 people on Atlanta. That had to hurt, right? Them getting blasted 35 to nothing.
Yeah.
That was a tough one for sure. But ultimately, we could have lost another 97 there with Tampa had things not gone their way at the very end.
They were right there.
Could have been crazy. So
Yeah.
our top play this week, Brandon, and just kind of as we explain how we do things, statistically, the top play is who we feel is really, the clearest top play of the week, the biggest spread, the biggest differential. Ultimately, looking at this, it's Buffalo versus the Saints. The Saints are terrible. I think what's the spread? 16.5 now, 15.5, somewhere in there.
Yeah. It might
Um,
even. Yeah, it was hanging around 16 and kind of going back and forth,
yeah.
up and down.
I
So
mean,
15 and a half right this second, but high as
I
16 and a half, which is just a hilarious number for a professional sport. Like,
if you're
when you get
going to
outside of 13, it's wild.
if your strategy is every week to play the biggest available spread to yourself and hang on for dear life, then you would be doing okay so far. But
Yeah.
ultimately, you're going to run out of these at some point. Buffalo may not be the team to play this week, so we've got a couple other options for you. Probably our safe play. We actually missed our safe play last week. Our safe play last week was Green Bay.
Was Green Bay.
We
Yeah.
did miss that. That I guess what's scary is our safe play this week is the Lions. They're playing the
Uh-huh.
Browns again. Are we gonna have another
We're going right
do-over?
back. It would be very Cincinnati to have the same team take a big old chunk of people out.
Yeah, that would be.
The reverse, I guess. And maybe it's just an Ohio thing. I don't know.
Blame
I
Ohio. Isn't that where
yeah,
Bierman lives?
yeah.
Doesn't he live in Ohio,
I
even though he's a Michigan
Uh-huh.
fan?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's
that's
for
funny.
sure. But these guys, like we talked about earlier when we were talking about our picks against the spread, um, it just puts Detroit in a much better position than it turns out Green Bay was last week,
Yes.
with basically the same spread. So I think, we go back to the well. We go, hey, Joe Flacco can't just be efficient forever. And I think Detroit will keep the ball rolling here.
Okay. So for risk rewards, we're gonna have to do some splaining. Splain me, Lucy.
Yeah.
Splain it. You guys are talking out of both sides of your mouth. You guys were just
Uh-huh.
talking about Houston being terrible. Why are they your risk reward play?
This is the thin line that I'm trying to draw this week. Because I like Houston here. I like them to be able to win this game. It would be surprising to me that Tennessee comes in there and wins. A touchdown, 6.5 points, is a big number to cover. That's why we're making the joke about Buffalo being at 15 and a half or 16 and a half. 6.5 is plenty. Houston just wants to win this game and get a tick on the win side of the column. And so at home, and if you're thinking about how to pace this out, so you can go, hey, I want to play um, decently high probability wins each week. If we think that Houston's not that great and they get a shot at playing Tennessee at home, now's the time to do it. Unless you think Houston is going to get better throughout the year, you play them here, or you go, that's going to be one of the teams I don't play.
Yeah.
Because this is their best spot if they are going to be this team for another 14 weeks.
Thus, that's why we say
that's
risk reward, right? I mean, it's
right.
risky, right? They could lose this game, but if you can win with them, you've saved other teams, and this is their best spot. So
Yeah.
you're spot on, Brandon. You're spot on. As always, Mr. Ben Harper, spot on. He's leading Ben Harper by $500,000. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to that. So he's
I hope not too many people.
listen to his points. He knows what he's talking about. So
I'll
what
have
are
to be
our plays,
sneaky until I
Brandon,
get
this week? That's going to be interesting to see.
I'm
We've
going with
got
Houston.
you're with Houston, huh?
Yes, I'm going to Houston.
All right, so he's backing up on the risk reward right here.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. He's backing it up. His risk reward play, backing it up with his own play. I'm not doing that.
After it.
I'm not that excited about that. I actually am kind of playing my own risk reward play, though it's not as risky. Denver is a 76% favorite to win the game over Cincinnati at home on Monday Night Football. A lot of you may be thinking, well, Denver, they're a good team. Why wouldn't we want to use them later? Well, let me tell you, I looked at this, and this is part of the reason why I'm leaning towards Denver, is the games that they have that you would potentially want to play them on are a little bit later in the season. They actually played the Jets in week 6 on a neutral site. No thank you to neutral sites. We're not going to go over to Germany and try to win a survivor game.
Too much variance.
They then have the Giants coming home the following week. So not only are they playing the Jets in Europe, then they got to come all the way back home, and they got the Giants coming in. And in week 8, I just don't know, but or week 7, excuse me, Jackson Dart may be good by then. Where he may be terrible. They may be back to Russ throwing moonballs. Moonballs float even higher in Denver than they do in Texas Stadium. So
thin air.
Russ's moonballs could be a thing. So I don't love Denver. I'm never going to take them against Dallas because Dallas is one of those teams that'll just beat somebody and they didn't mean to. And then their next time you take them is Las Vegas in week 10. And by then, there's a lot of things that's changed. So right now is a very good spot against a team in Cincinnati that has a very suspect defense. Not only is their defense suspect, they have no Joe Burrow, and they just got railroaded last week. Now, do I think they're going to play better? Yes. Do I think they're going to go into Denver and win on Monday night? No, I'm going to take my survivor chance on them.
Yeah, I think it's good logic. I think, my hope of staying off of them is that the offense will keep getting better. Yeah. And there will be a better place to play them.
Absolutely.
But as we know, with my picks for the division and whatnot, that I'm just not a big Denver believer until we can go have Peyton prove that he's got this team up to the level that he says he does. So, that scares me a little bit off of it. For me to go to Houston, who I think is an even worse team, just playing an even worse team is probably more risky, but I get a little more comfort with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And last but not least, Brandon, the team that's playing New Orleans, because we think New Orleans
Buffalo.
Is Buffalo. So we circle back around. So those are your plays for the week. That is your survivor look. We are the St. Louis Syndicate. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. I hope you have enjoyed our picks, and good luck this week. Hopefully you do better than I did last week. Holy crap. Good luck, guys.
Cheers, everybody.